Hello mini makers. Today we'll be making a Mantyke from Pokemon for 3D printing. You will begin by adding a sphere, sizing it in the X and Y dimensions, and making it smaller in the Z dimension. We will then add another sphere to act as the fins, and use proportional editing to make the tips more pointed, as well as making the fins slightly thicker near the body and thinner at the tip. We can spend some time using proportional editing to get this shape as close as we can. Now we will move on to sculpt mode, where we will add some geometry using the dynamic topology setting by setting our inflate tool to 0, then smoothing the connections with the smooth tool. We will use the clay strips tool to add some volume near the head and the back of the tail of the Mantyke, and we will use the snake kick tool and the smooth tool to get the shape we desire. We will use the clay strips tool to add some volume where the fin meets the body. To make the blue pattern, we will use the mask tool, and then we will use the inflate mesh filter tool to push the body inward. We will then use the pinch tool to make the boundary more defined. Make sure you're looking at your model from all sides to make sure that you're happy with the model. For the fake face pattern on the back, we will use the mask tool to make the eyes in the smiley face. We will then invert the mask using Ctrl I and use the mesh filter tool to push the pattern into the body. Using the pinch tool to make the boundaries defined, we will then use the same process to make the pupils. We will now move on to making the actual eyes and the mouth. We will use the same process of using the mask tool, inverting the mask, and using the inflate mesh filter tool to push the eyes in. The gills can be done in a similar fashion, and you can use the pinch tool to make the gills thinner if you would like. Next, we will move on to the mouth, where we will use the mash tool to make the general mouth shape and use the glab tool to push the mouth in to give it a more organic shape. We can add a tongue by adding a sphere, sizing it in the Z dimension, and then moving it in the spot where the tongue would be. We can then add the antennas at the top by adding a curve, going to the Geometry tab of the Curve tab and adding some depth, using Ctrl S to size any individual vertices. We can then fill the end of the curve and move the antenna to a place where you would like them to be. To finish the model, we can move the fin to a place where we would like it to be using the snake hook tool. If you like the model and would want to print it yourself, please go to my printables page in the description and download for yourself. If you would like to support more videos and more models, please support me on my Patreon page.